It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized in this. Get right on it, Chief.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
Hey, and welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry. It's Big Wednesday, and man, I tell you that intro, I know it's a little long, but which one of those sound bites would you cut out? I tell you, I can come, everybody has their on days, off days, in between days. When they're feeling good, feeling bad, or in between. I've never come into this studio, and I've experienced all three. I'm a normal human being like everybody else. But I hear that intro, and I just, if that doesn't get your fire burning and your woods wet, the one that really got me today was Lou Gehrig. Here was a dying man, meant so much to so many that, out of nowhere, he gets stricken. He was the Iron Man, set a record for consecutive games played, 2,100 and something, stood for decades until Cal Ripken broke it. But, standing out there, knowing that he had limited time on this earth, saying he was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Man, I tell you, that is a hero. So welcome. What a blessing to get a chance to spend another hour with you all today. Still kind of processing, as they say, dealing with yesterday. You all are just amazing. You girls, I tell you, the cake, the presents, I don't deserve any of that. And I'm not trying to be false self-effacing. I was just blown away. You caught me by surprise. Please, put that stuff that you would spend sending me something, give it to local Boys and Girls Club. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to give them back. I treasure them. And those gifts, they mean a lot to me. But, let's, send it to a good cause locally that you have there. Let me know about that. Contribute something in my name. But, again, that doesn't lessen my appreciation for all the well wishes, the gifts, cake, everything. So thank you again. It's a big Wednesday. Usually we have Larry Powell with us, our source of infinite wisdom, and Guillermo Marino, a source of something. I don't know. No, Guillermo is a very, very adept source of wisdom as well. He's dealing with some business. He'll be in tomorrow on the show, but Larry is on a cruise with his lovely wife, Dot. I want to have her on the show. She's just an amazing lady, giving most of her career to helping, to education in general, but helping underprivileged young kids. And my goodness, what an impact she's made on so many. Just a wonderful, wonderful lady. We're going to have, it would be great to have her and Larry on the same show. So we got a lot to talk about. We're obviously not going to get to all of it, but I always like to get, encouragement from one of my favorite guys, get his blessing to go forward. Can you ask Dirty Harry? Dirty Harry, can I start the show?
Go ahead. Make my day.
Thank you, Dirty. We'll get after it. Just breaking news, and literally this is breaking news. Sometimes you hear breaking news on Fox News or CNN. It's like 2 days old. But this is breaking news, and it looks like President Biden is going to offer a Russian arms dealer in exchange for Brittany Griner, the basketball player who's been detained on there in Russia for quite some time on drug charges, and this young man, Marine named Whalen, who has been there even longer than Brittany, a former Marine, under charges of espionage. So arms dealer for a 1-for-2. Our hope is the deal is acceptable to Mr. Rootin' Tootin' Vladimir Putin, that he will take that deal and we can get Brittany Griner home, and hopefully she's learned that this country's not as bad as she thought it was. She's a young lady that, denigrated the United States of America, wouldn't honor the flag, said America is basically a racist country, and went to another country and found out the grass may not be that much greener on the other side of the hill. And again, I say that hoping that she can appreciate what God has given her. Because let's face it, if you're born in America, regardless of what color you are, what circumstances you're born into, you have hit the lottery. You can't starve in this country. You have to really work to starve. You just have, but not, you just don't go down to the rescue mission and get a meal or the food bank. We have nets, safety nets, economic safety nets. We have healthcare safety nets. We got safety nets all over the place. How we pay for it, that's becoming an issue. But right now in America, and has been for quite some time, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to starve, which makes us the most abundant, the most prosperous country on the face of the earth. And sometimes, familiarity breeds contempt, and sometimes you don't appreciate what you had until it's gone, as they say. So anyway, having said that, she could be, I want her to come home, safe, but what a spokesperson she could be with a little attitude change. Yeah, we're imperfect. There's no doubt about it. Is there racism still in this country? You bet. But as far as having a chance to live your dream, to have your chance to make something of yourself that you decide you want to move higher, you want a chance at a better life, whether you're black, white, brown, whatever ethnicity, whatever religion you are, whatever gender you are, there is still no place on the face of the earth that provides more opportunity for you, all of those categories, including the disabled, than the United States of America. Again, not saying we don't have problems. I could spend 5 shows if I want to just criticize the United States of America, but still, with all of our faults, do some comparisons. I normally don't say do comparisons when you're comparing yourself to other people. That's not a good thing to do. I avoid that. I don't play that game. But you can play comparisons to countries and the amount of opportunity those countries provide its citizens, all citizens, again, regardless of their race, regardless of their religion, regardless of their socioeconomic position. In some countries, you're either truly a have or have nots. There's no middle class. No middle class. A thriving middle class is something that was really unique to the United States of America. It's what has made the United States of America so great. Not real rich, not real poor, just going to work every day, pursuing the American dream, desiring to buy a house and kids to college, save a little bit, have a roof over their head, not a Taj Mahal. That's not the middle class. Middle class expectations are reasonable by and large. I know I'm painting a broad swath here, But by and large, middle-class people are just hard-working people that don't expect a handout. They just don't expect to be penalized for no reason. Their businesses, themselves personally, because of their race, their socioeconomic position, what have you. They're ready to come to work every day, send their kids to school. They expect the kids to learn reading, writing, and math and not be socially engineered. I mean, middle class is really not that hard to please. You have to really step out and do something egregiously stupid and continue to do it before the middle class says, okay, we've had enough. The middle class has a pretty long rope. They'll let you before you hang yourself. A lot of patience, the middle class. They didn't speak up, the middle class, for decades, really. They just kind of went to work and created this country and made this country the great country it was, working day in and day out, building things, providing services that were essential. So anyway, we just hope Brittany can appreciate America a little bit more, but we do hope that she gets back safely, and as well as the Marine Wayland, and we'll see where this goes. I find it kind of odd that they would talk about this publicly. Usually these things are done behind the scenes. I don't know if this helps or hurts the possibilities of making this deal. I just can't see Xi Jinping wanting to do this out in the open. That's just not how China works. Okay? To negotiate this thing via the media or via Twitter, that's just not how those folks operate. So it's going to be interesting to see, the reasoning and the rationale why. And John Kirby was just on talking about a trip that Nancy Pelosi is going to take to China. This could be tied in to that because China and Russia don't believe what you read out there about there being a rift between the two. They are tighter. They're like peanut butter and jelly. All right, don't kid yourself. The New World Order, in their minds, this New World Order they're talking about starts with China and Russia. As Xi Jinping says, they just signed, and Putin, they just signed an agreement of cooperation with, quote, no limits. And that's exactly what it means, no limits. Okay. Again, I want to reemphasize, I know I said a couple of times, I know I've criticized Brittany Griner for, her actions in terms of her choices. She made a choice to dishonor the flag, to constantly criticize the United States of America as a systemically racist country. And I've made a choice to call that out. Again, having said that, I want the young lady home. Her family needs her home. We want her home. I definitely want her home safe and sound. And I would want that even if she doesn't change. And I know that may tick some people off. Because you know what? She's an American citizen. She did something wrong. She knew what she was doing when she put that hash oil in there. But anyway, I'm going on with giving it way too much explanation. But dadgummit, I get misquoted all the time. And I tell people, look, watch the whole show. I know I'm a lot to put up with for an hour. I get it. Having to watch me, there's a lot of ugly to put up with an hour. But don't just pick one statement that I made out of context and then call me a name or whatever. I mean, you can do that. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But I just like to do our little bit to bring back good, honest, I'm not a journalist. I'm a talk show host. I give you my opinion. But those that are reporting it, whether locally, state level, and I get reported on now and then because I was actor, mayor here for 8 years and, did a lot of stuff at the state level with Governor Schwarzenegger and the national level. So I got a little bit of a name rec, not much, but enough to get, some people like you, some people don't like you. And if they don't like you, they're going to make sure that you stay in your place and they're going to try to intimidate you by any means necessary. And a lot of times that means taking a quote, spreading it around here locally that I didn't say or I take it out of context. So anyway, I have two choices knowing I live in that kind of world. Either just get intimidated and shut up and go about my business and not do this talk show, or I can do what I'm doing now, explain myself, and hope people will get the whole story. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Well, I hit that 20-minute mark pretty good, didn't I, for the commercial? Learning to ride this horse a little better than I used to. We're going to be introducing some new segments. Our Hard Choices has been so popular. We're going to try another one going the What If? What If? And we're going to start off with what if Carl from Sling... Remember the movie Sling Blade? What if... remember Carl from Sling Blade? What if Carl of Sling Blade decided to run for president? We might be able to get Carl on the show. We're trying. We got Scoop Johnson. Well, Jeremy, he can get anybody. Jeremy and Scoop, I mean, I tell you, they're unbelievable. What a tag team. I mean, they're just unstoppable. Fearless. Going to the line of fire. We've got Carl. They're striking down Carl. And also in the future, I think we might be interviewing Elsie, the farting cow, and get her opinion on her contribution or culpability in global warming. Because Elsie, like most cows, they eat a lot. They got a lot of gas. They got to let that go. And if you listen to Bill Gates, they let it go, so they got to go. And trust me, you get rid of cows and get rid of meat. Chicken is next. If you like Chick-fil-A, you've got to stand against this fake meat. Oh, my goodness. Mike Harris just walked in. Oh, man. Mike, come in here. Come on in. You coming out of the thank to Mike Harris to get me out of this fart story. Hey, Mike, we're on the air live, Facebook Live all over the world, man. How you doing, buddy? Here's one of my heroes, Mike Harris. Yeah, Fresno PD for how many years? 24 years now working out the Legion of Valor. Yeah. And listen, I owe you a phone call. I've been having some stuff going on in life, and I will explain that. But I'm getting back in the saddle.
1 minute?
1 minute ago. I like your haircut, man. You look like the young Mike Harris, man. You look like you can go out there and handcuff the bad guys again. Oh, God, yeah, right. Don't get that LASIK surgery. I look horrible, man, or a good pair of glasses. All right, Mike, we're going on the air here. I'll talk to you in just a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can sit there and watch it. Just know we're live all the time. So if you criticize me, it's going to go around the world.
30 seconds.
Mike is an icon in this community. How long in Fresno PD?
10 seconds.
Oh, man. He was one of the best. Still one of them.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. Some more breaking news. Man, we got breaking news left and right here. The Fed just hiked the interest rate. Oh, good. Isn't it great when you let inflation get out of control? Isn't it a joyous thing? And they knew when they were doing it. It was going to end in interest rates to cool off the economy, to make it totally impossible to buy a house or a car or anything else involved with the American dream. But anyway, I can't see how many basis points, whatever the heck that is, what a basis point is. All I know is everything goes up. It's more expensive when those interest rates go up. But we'll get to the bottom of that. But Nancy Pelosi, okay, she has a trip scheduled in early August, okay, in an election year, a midterm year, a few months away from the actual election date. So anything these folks do in the political world is going to have some kind of an effect sometime on the midterm elections. Some minimal, sometimes major. This one has a potential to be rather significant if she goes through with it. And that trip is to Taiwan. Okay? If you would have told me that Nancy Pelosi or any Democrat, who, by the way, are in the back pockets of Xi Jinping and the Communist Party, all roads, basically Democratic donors, somehow leads to Beijing. Now, some of the Republicans as well. But there's more per square inch of the Democrats that are under absolute control of Xi Jinping. He says jump, they say how high. Xi says, all right, crap, and then these folks say what color. No, it's kind of gross, but I mean, you get my point. So this does not make cognitive political sense if she does this, if she goes ahead and takes this trip. What's amazing is she has not yet pulled out of this scheduled trip to Taiwan because again, politically, from my analysis, it makes zero sense. I'm just thinking from their point of view, what historically the Democrats have done dealing with China, which is give in at every quarter, to make such a major, major move on to visit Taiwan when the Chinese Communist Party and Xi Jinping himself personally has said, don't go there. In fact, they released a statement a few days ago said, if you go there, there's going to be significant consequences. Now, that's paraphrasing a little bit, but not much. Usually, it doesn't get to that point. Behind the scenes, through the channels, the word gets to Pelosi, to Schumer, to Biden. Hey, this thing we just did, man, it kind of ruffled Xi Jinping's feathers. And they're like, long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. They're running around there trying to fix whatever it is they had done that had slightly irritated the king of the Far East. So far, that hasn't happened. What makes it even more amazing at this point, the military, General Mark Silly Milley, has come out and said it's not a good idea. Don't go over there. It's going to increase tensions of the military type with China. His cohort, Lloyd Austin, I have not seen a comment from him yet, but usually if Milley's mouth speaking, it's Austin as well. They're a great team, just like Laurel and Hardy in terms of foreign policy. John Kirby, the head spokesman for the Pentagon, I just saw on the monitor when I got in here, talking about the trip. And in his comments, now it's the Pentagon, not supposed to line up with, you would expect Milley, Lloyd Austin, Blinken to be on the same page with the Pentagon. But Kirby, in his comments, was not ruling it out. Actually was saying there may be some value to this this meeting, and it might possibly be the right thing to do. So what you have again is a display of an administration that's not together on messaging. There's no unanimity. You got everybody out there doing their own thing. I mean, imagine you do that on a football team, Mike. You take a football team out there, and then everybody decides they're going to run the play they want to run. It would just be chaos. You'd never get the ball across the goal line, ever. Yeah, and the opposing team would just sit back and laugh. They could score at will, which is exactly what the rest of the world is doing to us. But the amazing thing is Nancy Pelosi has yet to cancel the trip. So I think she might, she might want to come on the show for a segment of Hard Choices, Jeremy. All right, I'm going to make my prediction. Oh, Laura's not. We're going to go to Laura just a second here. And then I want to save a little time for a little talk on inflation, the basics of inflation. I don't see any way that the Chinese give their approval to this. Unless she goes there, meaning Taiwan, and reemphasizes her and the delegations and the United States' position on reunification and the one China policy. And in a press conference there says that. Well, that's going to be dissing the Taiwanese government and the people of Taiwan. So she's in a very unusual and not very familiar position for Nancy Pelosi and most Democrats. They don't like to be in a position where they have to really do the right thing for America. They want to do the right thing for their woke movement, the right thing for their donors, but the right thing for America is way down the list. Way down the list. Sometimes they get there, mostly not. I'm not saying it's not on their list. They just have a lot of priorities before they get to what's good for America and good for us. Okay? Having said that, all this analysis, folks, God dang it, I just think she cancels it. I think she cancels it, and with that, she's in a tough position because the midterms, remember we started this conversation with the effect on the midterms. I think not standing up to China right now ensures probably, in my little brain as I do my quick calculation in my racist math racist, I'm doing the calculations with the political map. She cancels this trip. There's House races so close, and this issue of China undermining the American worker and holding America hostage, that in these particular states, I think it could be the decision that cost them at least 6 or 7 House seats that are kind of up for grabs right now. This could be the nail in the coffin of the Democrats in those particular states, from my analysis. And I'm a sick dude. I watch all this stuff. I need to go see a movie or something, Mike. How about that movie Nope? I want to go see that. Maybe they can scare the politics out of me. Maybe they can scare my concern for America out of me. But I think she folds and doesn't do that. We were going to take a break, but I don't want to because the mic's hot and we're about to get a little hotter. Because when she gets the mic, she always has something very, very, very interesting and sometimes provocative to say. We got Laura on the line. We got Laura. Laura, you there?
I'm here.
All right. What do you think about it? Does she go with it or not? Does she take the trip?
I think she does. And I think that, I think that we need to quit focusing just on Nancy going to Taiwan, and we need to pan out a little bit bigger because there's a lot of other things at play. With Hunter Biden, he's under investigation for 154 business dealings, the majority of which deal with China. I have a funny feeling that this is going to bear a lot of fruit. I think that we're going to find out just how compromised the Biden family is with China. There's been a lot of speculation, questions. You know how I feel about Anthony Blinken being compromised with China. And I think that all of this is now coming to a head. Chuck Grassley has basically come out and accused DOJ and the FBI of really suppressing information about this investigation into his dealings with China. And so I think that she's doing this as a way to say, oh, no, we're not bought and paid for by the Chinese. Watch me go to Taiwan and make them mad.
Interesting take.
I think it's, again, this is another Wile E. Coyote roadrunner situation, and it's going to blow up in her face.
Yes,
and we're
but
the ones that are going to suffer the consequences of it.
Yes, but I tell you, you're there as we talk about possible motives, because that's what it is. We don't know what's in her head right now, but I tell you, what you just brought up is very plausible. I mean, I'll put very, not just plausible. In my mind, what you just laid out could be enough of a motivation for, especially if some of those tentacles could lead back to her own family. I mean, Paul Pelosi is a prolific investor. You know he's in there with BlackRock, and BlackRock's in bed with China. You connect the dots better than anybody. And Blinken making money off of China. And they've got to find some way to say, hey, look what we did. We went to Taiwan. We're not in. Interesting. Very, very, okay. That makes me think. Yeah.
And then as far as China playing things out in the media with Griner and all that stuff, yes, I think very much Xi Jinping wants as much positive press as he can possibly get right now, because he's got a mixed bag going on at home, with his vice premier criticizing his zero tolerance COVID policies, for him streamlining their economy into 5 sectors only, going after a lot of entrepreneurial business. He doesn't want that right now.
Yeah.
Sports back. So there's a little bit of a power struggle going on within the country, and the fact that the media is allowed to let those criticisms be published tells me that CCP is kind of just sitting back and saying, well, let them fight it out and see who wins. So I think that Xi Jinping is a little worried. Plus, he's taken some hits on the global stage with World Bank, with his trying to straddle this alliance with Putin and MBS, this unholy trinity that's taken place, and still try to keep his economic alliances with the West. The guy's and has a brain aneurysm on top of it. So yeah, I think that he's definitely going to take any good press he can get. Just like when COVID, we had the COVID problem, and then everybody was turning their eyes to China, saying, "Why aren't you telling us what went down in that lab?" And all of a sudden, they were, the Mother Teresa of the world, trying to give everybody vaccines and everything else. So I think he's trying to rebuild his global image. So yeah, I think that it will play out.
And you think she's going to go? Well, that's interesting. Barry, I was just thrown. I'll flat tell you when I missed the mark on something, and I just, there's no way I thought this trip would even get this close without cancellation. I think it would have done a long, long time ago, which again makes me think what you're talking about. There has to be some compelling overriding reason for her to take this trip and bear the consequences of offending Xi Jinping and the Communist Party, because you said something right now that a lot of people don't get. Not because they're not smart; they just got better things to do with their life, But right now, it may not be the same way in 5 years and 10 years, but right now, China needs the United States and its consumerism to keep their economy going, as much as we're dependent on China with all the cheap labor. And the reason is we ship it there is because they have a labor force that they can basically enslave and pay them what they want to, and they're going to outmake any company, make it cheap country, and make it cheaper. So you're going to get your sneakers cheaper, your lawn furniture, your antibiotics, all that stuff. And in order
you have to remember is a lot of American companies are jumping ship from China because of American sentiment towards China, and a lot of that industry is now going to India. It's not coming back here, but it's going to other Eastern countries, because India has even cheaper labor. So does Cambodia. So does Laos. So does Thailand. So China's really panicking.
Laura, did I hear it correctly? You may know this. I thought I heard on TV the other day that India has replaced China as the most populous country. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
I heard that right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That one-child policy's got caught up with them over there in China, haven't it?
It did, and they're trying to, I guess you could say, legitimize all of that. I remember I explained that to you, that a lot of people had children, they just weren't recognized by the state, and now they're trying to get all of them birth certificates and get all that straightened out. But it's still not going to compensate for the years that they committed forced abortion and imprisoned people for having more than one child and things like that. And when you have a third of your population leaving the workforce, it's going to have a detrimental effect on China. China's very fragile right now.
And, Laura, that's why, I get so much grief, especially some family members. My son gets so much. Dad, the experts. And he's a smart guy. I said, son, I know. Listen, I was a quarterback. I wanted to get Jim Plunkett back in the day. He was an expert on quarterbacking. I wanted to pick his brain. But Jim Plunkett would be the first one to say, I don't know everything. And I may be wrong on this, okay? It is these experts, talking about the population. Not too long ago, it was like, we don't have very long. The population's exploding around the world. Pretty soon, we're not going to be able to feed anybody. All that. Now, we can't feed anybody now. It's not because of population. And then I remember back in the day when I was in college, the big climate change fear out there, and what the experts were saying, that if we didn't watch it, that we were all going to freeze to death. A second ice age was coming.
I remember that.
Do you remember that? And everybody was scared to death. Well, they're going to be frozen just like the old, like the dinosaurs. And then now you flash forward, okay, we're all going to burn to death. There's not a day I go on my news feed that I don't see this hot. It's scorching in this area of the country. This area of the country is scorching. And when in reality, this year, in terms of heat, doesn't even break the top 5 since they started measuring in 1880. It's hot, but I'm sorry.
I get frustrated.
Okay,
with
go ahead.
Republicans.
What's that?
Talking about climate change, one thing that really frustrates me is there is a tremendous amount of technology that's not even being recognized or acknowledged or invested in that would not financially affect the American taxpayer, would not force us to buy electric vehicles, and would actually heal the small holes in the ozone layer. They've done limited trials on this, and it's already proven to be beneficial. I mean, we have actual small holes in the ozone layer in the last 5 years that have healed themselves just from doing small things like refitting. We do have to get rid of coal, and the reason we have to get rid of coal is because when it burns, the carbon particles are so small that the carbon capture scrubbers aren't able to get the majority of that out of our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Natural gas, on the other hand, we can capture 97% of it. 97%. So you can easily and relatively inexpensively retrofit any coal-burning energy sources into natural gas. That's what they did in Europe. And 36% of the small ozone holes healed themselves within 5 years.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Is I'm not one of these what they call climate deniers. Sure, it seems like it's getting hotter. It's just
technology.
Well, yeah, my premise is, though, my question is, and I'm sorry, I grew up in a school system where critical thinking was still encouraged. You asked questions. Like Socrates says, just ask questions. Our Western culture was built on that. That's why we've had more advances in science. Science is built around asking questions about axioms and theories, and you continue to learn by asking those questions. My question is, okay, are we, Al Gore and all the folks that are AOC and the scientists, the experts, are you absolutely sure that man-made emissions are the total reason why the climate is getting hotter and the ice caps are melting? Because I say, the reason I ask this, folks, I'm open to that, but I go back and I read the hottest recorded date on history was like 1,400 years ago, and they can measure that by tree rings, I guess. I don't even get deep in the weeds on that. Mm-hmm. But scientists all say you could really come close to determining to within a few degrees how hot it was back in that era. And back 1,400 years ago was the hottest the years on record. Well, did they have more cows farting? They didn't have any factories going. I mean, what? You see, that's a is it an anomaly? An anomaly? Well, what caused the anomaly back in 1400? They didn't have all of this technology that you're telling me is the sole reason that if we cap everything, we shut the economy down, go totally to renewals, and that means you India, you China, United States, totally deindustrialize the entire world, and we're eating some artificial meat that Bill Gates throws on our plate, that if we do that, then the temperature will come down. I don't know if I buy that.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think, approached this in the most pragmatic way. A lot of people got angry at him, but you have to remember that even some of these scientists, they're dependent upon grants. So, unfortunately, they have to side with people within our government that are going to help them get those grants to continue.
Yeah, I know that little scam, being in government for 8 years. So the old grant scam. Yeah, and again, Laura, and listeners and viewers, look, I see factories spewing that stuff out. I was on Highway 99 one day, and it was really packed. I couldn't change lanes, and I had to snort the diesel coming out of this big 18-wheeler's exhaust pipe from about the, from Dinuba to the Grapevine. And I was sick of starting that stuff. I couldn't get out of the lane, man. I was coughing. I know it's not helpful. It's not good to have this stuff, emitting. But I just want to know the whole truth. Don't try to use that and tell me that unless we shut down the entire economy and become Sri Lanka, which is in chaos right now, or become Germany, who got rid of all their nuclear power, now they don't know whether to, crap or wind their watch because their economy's going all to heck because they transitioned so quickly to this stuff that wasn't there, to the renewables that weren't there, and now you want to do that to the United States of America.
Is cyclical for our planet. I mean, and we know that from examining other planetary bodies that have no life and they have gases that we have, but it's all very scientific. I'll send you an email.
Yeah, I'm already lost.
Anyway, the way that Neil deGrasse Tyson explained it is that you're not going to stop cyclical planetary behavior of what happens naturally on a planetary body. We, however, are accelerating some of this.
Yeah,
and we can slow it down, but we need to do it in a way that's going to be most effective. I.e., there is the University of Illinois found a means to convert methane into methanol. Yeah. Why isn't this being invested in? This is one of the biggest complaints about commercial agriculture. If you have the capability and you have the technology, why are you worrying about mining for cobalt in Africa? Oh, that's right. The president's son owns a cobalt mine.
Yeah.
That's effective.
Follow the money. Al Gore went from a guy worth less than $1 million to a guy nearly a billionaire now based on climate change fear. And he's, there's a lot of people making a ton of money, and I'm just a common sense guy. I just don't want you to, come, grab my ribeye off my plate and tell me I did my part for, to stop climate.
About that.
Yeah, climate warming. Here, give me that ribeye. Way to go, boy. Good job. You did your little part to reduce climate change. Laura, thank you so much. You just always bring so much to the table here. And again, thank you for that wonderful Thomas Sowell book. I was looking at that yesterday and just, oh man. Love you guys. All right, I'll be right back. This is Alan Autry. No retreat. Michael, how you doing, buddy? Good. We just. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Autry, for doing your part to reduce global warming. Oh man, come on! Don't take away the stakes. I mean, have we gone absolutely insane in this world? Especially in America. The rest of the world has got to be laughing at us. We're gonna play Kamala Harris's introduction at her. I mean, you start off a very serious meeting between folks on, as she says, quoting her, on some very, very major subjects facing the country and the world today. Then proceeds to give her pronouns and what color dress she was wearing. I mean, I was not listening to that going, this is YouTube. This goes worldwide now. I mean, they're around the world going, what the heck? I tell you, one heartbeat away from President of the United States. And I'm not against, if you want to check the boxes, okay, you need a black individual, a white individual, Hispanic individual, gay, trans, what have you. Trans, gay, and you got your boxes there. My question would be to them is, okay, can we have a little bit in terms of the social, the political correctness here, just a little bit of meritocracy within that political correctness? Meaning Rachel Levine, touted as the first trans woman in the health, that high up in the health industry. I forget what her official title is. Well, did you make sure you hired the best trans woman for that job? I mean, you go on what's the headhunters, those groups that you can go in and find applicants. Yeah, what's the name? ZipRecruiter. You go on ZipRecruiter. We got if we're looking for a trans woman to
1
be
minute.
a high official at the health department. Send in your applications, take some time, and make sure you got the best trans woman possible for that job. I'd like that a lot better. At least you're making some token effort to find the best within the political correctness. Does that make sense? No. Well, you just love them. That's what we're supposed to do. Our job's to love them.
30
God's
seconds.
job's to judge them. Okay. We got to remember that. Okay. 12:51. All right. Let's talk about an exciting subject. Inflation. Come back.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. We are the inflation nation, 2 quarters below the GDP that is required to keep us out of the designated category of inflation. And now the Biden administration is trying to redefine that. And no. 2 straight quarters of decreasing GDP does not constitute inflation, and most of the economists refute that. But what is inflation? We just got a few minutes here, and far be it from me, you folks this is going to be like bonehead math here, bonehead inflation analysis, and because I know me, I've heard things a long time before I ask, what is it? Like I heard qualitative easing for several years. I don't even know what that is. I just nod my head in the meetings like I did. But it is. You know what? Hold on. We've got Larry Powell on the line from Alaska. Here.
My friend, how are you?
Oh, boy. You just saved our audience. I was going to go into a little lecture on inflation. You imagine me up there doing a lecture like a Professor Autry on inflation. How you doing?
Hey, listen, I'm doing good. Just the ship just left Glacier Bay, and absolutely stunning and beautiful, and wildlife everywhere. And it's 50 degrees, so I just thought I'd call and brag that I'm in 50, not in 105.
Oh, my goodness. Folks that don't know, Larry and his beautiful wife, Dot, are on a well-deserved cruise to Alaska. Alaska. Yes, 50 degrees, huh?
This is that last great wilderness, I mean, it's just beautiful. And they're doing a lot of things to save this area and make sure that it remains as pristine as it is. So it's really exciting to be up here and get to see all this really great stuff, all the glaciers, all the wild animals that exist, and then all the food that I'm eating. Alan, I'll tell you what, you and I both go crazy with all of the food that you got. Eat about 24/7 up here.
Oh, that's beautiful. A lot of seafood?
A lot of seafood. I see food and I eat it. So,
Yeah, I do too. But just
really good.
that is fantastic. Now, how long you guys been on the cruise so far?
I've been on since last Saturday, so we got about 3 more days to go.
Oh,
and
that's
just having
great.
a great time.
That's great. Now
But
you did whisper in the
I'm
captain's.
catching your show.
What's
I
that?
just wanted to let you know that we actually can get your show in Alaska, so that's pretty good.
Bad we are. You sound great in there. Hey, Larry, did you whisper in the captain's ear when you were boarding to tell him, like, hey, don't hit the glacier?
We saw a few pretty big icebergs out there that had calved off of one of the glaciers, and there were a lot of little ones around. So summertime it does that. Wintertime kind of gets restored a little bit. But, absolutely fantastic service. A lot of folks from Malaysia, they're from Indonesia, they're from the Philippines, and they are just a joyful, joyful people.
Making a lot of new friends, huh?
A lot of new friends, and just a great time. We have quite a few people from Fresno that are up here, so that's quite enjoyable. And we've been listening to some great gospel music with the Gaithers, Bill Gaither and all of his homecoming crowd. Absolutely wonderful.
Love the Gaithers. Oh, my goodness. Have they played for y'all at all? Do they?
Yeah, we've had about 3 concerts a day, every day.
Oh.
So spectacular. And then, Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers are up here, and Larry has, 30 songs that he's done and they've done. Absolutely fantastic. I got a chance to sit and talk with a bunch of them and just had some great conversations, very interesting people, as well as great performers.
Larry's Gatlin's a funny guy. He got a great sense of humor.
He is a funny guy.
Yeah. Hey, do you see?
Yeah,
have you seen Sarah Palin out on a snowmobile? No.
Yeah, we were looking for her when we were in Juneau. So
Well, I tell you,
didn't spot her.
Well, I tell you, your description, you can understand why the Russians want Alaska back. Just beautiful. Everybody,
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody I've talked to that's ever been there just said it's just breathtaking.
It's absolutely stunning. We're just having a great time. We've had some fog and we've had some beautiful sunshine, and this is the middle of summer for them. And it's their dry time, but we've had a little bit of rain, but it's been beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
Well, Larry, you made our day. Thank you for calling in and giving of your time on the show. We miss you, but we're sure happy that you and Dot are out there having a great time.
Well, looking forward to being back next Wednesday, and maybe we can share a little bit of what's going on.
Absolutely. God bless you.
You too, my friend. Take care.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was an unexpected surprise. Golly, Larry, to be on his mind like that, to take the time to call and traveling with the Gaithers. Some of y'all there listening know of the Gaithers. Gosh, they just make special music for the soul. I tell you, dadgum, they're good. And I've been doing it for a long, long time. It was one of my dear mother's great groups that she loved so much. And she couldn't get enough of the Gaithers. We'd order the tapes and just play them, frequently. In fact, there was a Gaithers tape the day my mother passed away. We put on a Gaithers tape, and ironically, one of the songs that she liked the most, and I put on when I left her, she was asleep, was "When I Wake Up in Glory," and it was a Gaither. She loved that, so I kissed her on the forehead. Went home. When I got home, I got the phone call that she had passed on, and I think about that a lot. That would have, what a way to go to have that song playing as you go meet our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Well, folks, we're getting close to Roy and Dale singing us out of here. Again, thank you so much for tuning in.